Hello, I'm Stephen Ballast. Welcome to my channel where I explore media and tech solutions for churches. I recently was a part of the YoloLiv Worship Summit where I talked about vertical video and the YoloBox Ultra. And I demonstrated a number of features of the Ultra that I thought would be beneficial to churches. I also think the topic of live streaming in vertical video is an interesting one. I thought that video had a lot of really useful information and could benefit people here on my channel. So here it is. First of all, you've got to be asking the question, why vertical video? What is up with that? You know, I'm a cinematographer at heart. I've won awards at film festivals for my work as a cinematographer. I love widescreen, even anamorphic video. I would be that guy who would always tell people to turn their phone sideways when taking video. So why would I ever want to talk to you about using vertical video for your live streams? And I'll admit, this is all something that I'm still starting to explore and process and think through. But first, let's take a step back and look at things from a bit of a higher angle than just talking about specs and bit rates and features. I think churches need to assess what the purpose of their live stream is. When I ask that question, I usually hear some variation of these two answers. One, it's for members who can't make it to church. Shut-ins, mothers with sick kids, a businessman who travels. A live stream is going to let them remain engaged with the church body, keep up with the sermon series, even when they can't physically be there. Obviously, we want our members to be with us in person, but there are a lot of legitimate reasons why someone might not be able to be there on any given Sunday, and a live stream allows them to stay engaged. The second reason I often hear people give as a reason for having a live stream, and this could be worded a few different ways, but it boils down to outreach. And I think there are two arms to this. One is people who are actively looking for a church. Other than maybe your website, your live stream is probably now the first encounter someone who is looking for a church will have with your church. And it makes sense. If I were to move to a new town and start looking for a church for my family, the first thing I'm going to do is go online and watch a few services from the churches in my area. But the second arm of outreach is actually reaching the lost. The internet, and specifically social media, gives us the potential for a phenomenal amount of reach and visibility. Maybe someone's having a difficult time and is looking for answers. A church is a good place to turn, and your live stream could be what reaches them with the gospel message. So there's this idea that we want to use our live streams to reach the lost. So how does all this relate to vertical video? I'm getting there, stick with me. Just a few minutes ago, I looked at the stats from my church's live stream this past Sunday, and more than 60% of our views were on mobile. Have you ever watched your live stream on a mobile device? Have you evaluated it through the lens of what the majority of your viewers potentially are using to watch? For one thing, I know when I watch on my phone, I rarely ever rotate my phone, so I end up watching a really small image of our video. And that actually brings up a bigger question. Have you evaluated the quality of your live stream to see if it has the potential to accomplish what you're intending for it to do? Hear me out on this, okay? And please don't shoot the messenger, but I've consulted with a few churches over the past 8 years or so, and I've seen a lot of live streams, and to put it bluntly, some of them aren't that great. But I think the reason for that isn't the message or the content, it's because a lot of us are trying to be something we're not. We look at some of the national and world famous churches and what they're doing in their live streams, and we try to mimic that, without realizing that they have huge budgets, a large tech staff, and not to mention a facility that's purpose-built for video that enables them to pull off that level of production. And yet somehow there's this expectation that we should be able to make our live video look the same way. I heard someone say once that everything you do or decision you make at your church communicates something. The color of your carpet and walls, your lighting, what your pastor wears, your signage, it all communicates something about who you are. And I want to suggest that in the same way, horizontal video communicates something different from vertical video. Think about horizontal video and what it communicates. You know, historically we came from TVs that had an aspect ratio of 4:3, and we'd have to go to the movie theater to watch widescreen content. Then we got HD widescreen content on our TVs so we could watch those movies at home. Vertical video came out of cell phones and social media, you know, those people who were too lazy to turn their phone sideways. So while horizontal video communicates cinematic narrative storytelling, professional quality video, vertical video communicates casual, spontaneous, real life, and has become the language of many social media platforms. Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat are all primarily a vertical platform. So my question is, which of those sounds like your live stream? Cinematic, narrative storytelling with high production value, or casual, spontaneous, and real life? And understand, I'm not saying either one of those is right or wrong, but is your content aligned with the medium you're using for your live stream? They do communicate something to your viewer, whether it's intentional or not, and one might be more appropriate for your church than the other. Let me briefly talk about some social media platforms out there. And I want to preface this with, I am by no means a social media expert. I'm an engineer, I'm a tech guy. My world lives adjacent to the whole marketing and social media world. But the experts that I listen to and follow say that there are some social media platforms that are going to have better potential for greater reach when it comes to live streaming right now. And by reach, I mean when you go live, how does the algorithm of that social media platform work to get your live stream in front of people? So for example, as of today, and as you know how the world works, this might be true today, but who knows, next week everything might be different. But right now, Instagram, when you go live, will ping your existing followers with a notification that you've gone live, and that's pretty much it. So what you'll see on Instagram is a certain number of watchers when you first start, but that tends to nosedive pretty quickly as your stream continues. The longer you stream, the less viewers you'll have. On the other hand, a platform like TikTok or Twitch actually rewards longer live streams. What I mean by that is the longer you stream, the more people they will start putting your stream in front of. So the opposite will be true. You'll start with less viewers, but as you stream for a longer period of time, you'll get put in front of more and more people. And if you think about it, church services are perfect. We're not streaming for 3, 4, 5, 10 minutes. We have a long event to stream, usually an hour plus. And so the potential for getting your live stream in people's feeds is greater on these platforms. So all of this to say, it's worth doing some research and investigation into what platforms are going to be best for what you're trying to accomplish. So if outreach is part of your goal for your live stream, combine the fact that your reach is potentially much higher on platforms that stream vertical right now, with the fact that vertical lends itself to a more casual and spontaneous feel. Vertical might be the best format for your church's live stream. Now, no matter what conclusion you come to, whether you decide to stream in vertical or horizontal, I think it's worth having this conversation with your team. If you're a tech person at your church, get on the same page with your leadership about what your purpose and goals are for your live stream. What is your stream for? Who is your target audience? Combine that with an honest assessment of who you really are as a church and what production level you can realistically achieve. Being on the same page with the answers to these questions will really help to shape what you do and what you prioritize. Okay, let's shift gears from the why to the how. You may say, all right, Steve, we're on board. We want to try vertical video. How do we do it? Let me show you some ways you can accomplish it. Any live streaming system has 3 main components. You have to have a video source. That's your camera, video switcher, the audio that gets embedded into your video. You need an encoder that compresses the video and gets it into the format that you need to send to the final component, which is your destination. That's your social platform, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. For vertical video, let's start at the destination and work our way backwards. Obviously, your destination needs to support the vertical video format for you to be able to live stream to it. And that's kind of the point. We're live streaming in vertical so we can leverage the reach that a social platform that takes vertical video can give us. Next, we have the encoder. Obviously, again, you need an encoder that can send out vertical video. For this example I'm about to show you, I'm going to be using the YoloLiv ULTRA. It's the latest YoloBox offering from YoloLiv that has the capability to live stream in both vertical or horizontal video. So it's a great platform to use for your live streaming because it'll let you try vertical, and if you eventually decide that it's not for you, you can switch back to using horizontal without having to change out any encoder equipment. Finally, let's talk about the video source. One option you have is to just turn a camera sideways and connect it to the Ultra through one of its HDMI inputs. Depending on what needs you have for zooming and camera controls, a sideways camera could work well. Some photography tripods have a head that's designed to flip up for shooting portraits, so this can be a simple way to take a regular camera and turn it into a vertical camera. Today though, I'm going to be using the YoloLiv ULTRA. It's a PTZ camera specifically built for vertical video. In its normal position, it's already sending out a vertical image, which makes it a perfect place to start if you want to explore vertical video. When I tested this camera out at our church, I was able to zoom into a decent full body shot of someone on our stage from our camera positions that are 55 feet from the pulpit, so the camera has a decent amount of zoom. When it comes to framing your shots, I'd say the rules of vertical video aren't quite as defined as horizontal, but in general, you'll want to try and fill the frame with your subject as much as you can. And I've found that keeping faces in the upper third of the frame tends to work. Now let's walk through step by step how to get a vertical live stream going with this setup. And you'll actually see how simple it really is with the Ultra and the YoloCam. Then we'll walk through some more advanced things we can do with the Ultra to make our live streams more engaging. When you first turn on the Ultra, it's going to ask if you want to stream vertically or horizontally. And this is important to understand. You can't do both at the same time. You've got to choose one or the other. I'll select vertical. For this demonstration, I'm going to stream to Instagram, so I'll select that here in the top left and log in with my credentials. There is this expand button over here on the right, which helps to see what you're doing as you're interacting with the app. You'll probably want to also save your login credentials, then you won't have to enter these each time you stream. And obviously, you would want to log in with whatever account you're using to manage your church's Instagram account so that the stream will show up on their feed. I'll connect my PTZ camera's HDMI output to HDMI input 1 of the Ultra, and now the camera image is coming in. If the image comes in upside down, just tap this gear icon here and you can flip it vertically to get it showing right side up. This area up here on the top left is just like I'm using the Instagram app on my phone. The Ultra is kind of acting like a mobile device that has this app loaded on it. So I'll click the plus button to add a post and scroll over to live, and now I would interact with this just like I'm on the app. You can add a title for your stream, set if it's public or private, and then when I click the broadcast button here, I'll start my live stream. A cool thing about the Ultra is that I can stream to 2 destinations. These buttons here on the right open up different pages of settings and additional features. I'll go through these in a minute, but if I go to this plus button page, I could log into, say, a TikTok account and start streaming there as well. But to keep things simple for this example, I'm just going to stream to 1 destination. To make my video a bit more engaging, I can connect more cameras. You could connect more HDMI sources. I'm going to connect this simple webcam. I'll plug it into the USB port on the top of the Ultra and just turn it sideways. And now I've got another camera I can use, and just tapping on the camera here in the interface will switch which one is live in the stream. Let's talk about getting graphics, say from our worship presentation software, overlaid onto our vertical video. I've got a PC here that has ProPresenter on it, and what I want to do before I open up ProPresenter is connect an HDMI cable from an output of my computer to one of the inputs of the Ultra. I've found that connecting a computer to input 1 or 2 seems to work better. Sometimes when I've tried input 3 or 4, it doesn't detect the computer source properly. Now in the display settings of my PC, I want to set this to extend the display and set the display orientation to portrait. Then make sure my resolution is 1080 by 1920 and the scale is 100%. Once that's configured, launch ProPresenter and in the Screens menu, go to Configure Screens. And here we need to create our output for our video overlay. So in the Audience Displays, click the plus button and select the vertical portrait output that we already have set up on our system. I'll right-click on this and rename it to be Overlay Vertical. And you can see already that ProPresenter has detected that output to be 1080 by 1920. So it's ready to output vertical content. Now I'm going to create a theme that will create the formatting and appearance we want on our vertical output, and also use a green background so that I can key that out on the Ultra. To do that, I'll go to the theme editor and add a new theme, and I'll call this Vert Video. And then over here on the right for the size, I'll select my vertical video output so it will be sized correctly. I have a lower thirds background image that I created in Photoshop that I'll drag in here. You can design this any way you want your lower third content to look, and you don't need this bar across like this. You could just have your text directly over the green, but I find this makes the lyrics a little bit easier to read. We'll need to send the image to back so our text will be visible in front of it, and I'll constrain the text to the area I want it to be in. So what we're going to do is have the keyer on the Ultra remove the green parts so we see our video behind this text area. Now I'll go to the Screens menu again and edit Looks. And for Presentations layer for my vertical output, I'm going to go select the theme that I just created. Now if I view my vertical video output, you can see what that's going to look like. Now some of these slides fit in the area that I created and some of them don't. I let that happen here intentionally so you can see that you'll have to make a decision. You either need to edit your slide content to fit, or you need to edit your theme to shrink the text down so that it will fit. And this is an important point. Vertical video really has different requirements than horizontal video. The trend in lyrics design has been to go to 2 lines of text that stretch out pretty wide. And this is a whole different topic about what actually serves your congregation to engage them in worship as participants rather than observers. But for vertical video, you may need to rethink what's going to be readable. Since you have more space vertically, you may need to go to additional shorter lines to keep the text at a readable size for people watching on their phones. Let's go back over to the Ultra and get this overlaid on our video. First, we need to key out the green, so tap on the gear icon in the upper right corner of the computer's input and select chroma keying. And right away, because I made that background a solid green color, it gets keyed out with the default settings. So I can tap Done. Now we need to overlay that over our other inputs. So tap Add Video Source and choose Picture-in-Picture Video. And here we want to select our camera input first as A and our lyrics input second as B. Tap Done, and now a couple things. First, it's defaulting to horizontal orientation. So in aspect ratio, we need to select 9:16. And then we'll scale it all the way up, bring the border all the way down, and now tap Done. And now we have this video source we can select with our lyrics overlaid over the camera input. Now let's go over a few of the features of the YoloBox Ultra and how those can be useful for your live stream. And most of these will apply if you're doing vertical or horizontal video. These buttons or icons on the right of the screen have different pages of functionality that you can access. At the top is the network bonding. This is a paid service from YoloLiv where you can bond together multiple network connections to give you more bandwidth. If, for whatever reason, your internet connection doesn't have the bandwidth to support your live stream, the Ultra can support up to 5 different connections. That's the LAN port, Wi-Fi, a SIM card for cellular data, and up to 2 USB Wi-Fi dongles. This could be useful if you have to stream from somewhere that doesn't have a very good internet connection. Next, we have overlays. These create static overlays, so you could create, say, lower thirds with people's names on it to put up when they speak. I'll put in my name, Stephen Ballast, Livestream guy, and then move this down wherever you'd want it to appear on your output. Let me switch to an input without the lyrics, and now I can bring up my lower thirds title on my live stream. Next is the audio mixer, and let's talk about audio for a second. I'm a firm believer that no matter if you're streaming vertical or horizontal video, your audio is the most important part of your stream. I believe this so much I made a whole series on my YouTube channel called Make My Live Stream Sound Better, where I show how to set up and mix your live stream in a DAW. One of my favorite things about the Ultra is that you can connect a USB audio interface and use that as your audio input source. So I can connect something like this Focusrite 2i2, which would allow me to connect a stereo line level balanced XLR feed coming from a mixer's output and connect that to the Ultra. Or if you are using Dante for your broadcast mix, you could use the Audinate AVIO USB adapter and connect your Ultra directly to Dante for your audio source. Once you connect a USB audio device, it will show up here on the Audio tab of the Ultra. I have the webcam connected to USB 1, so the audio interface is going to be USB 2. I usually make sure that all my other sources are turned off and just tap the on button for the USB device, and now whatever I feed the inputs to this audio interface will be the audio source for my video. The Record tab lets us record our video locally to an SD card in the SD card slot, or under storage settings here you can choose if you want to record to an external hard drive that you can connect to one of the USB ports. You can also set up ISO recording. Right now the default is to record the program, but I could also select, let's say, HDMI 1, and so now I'd get a recording of the program and also a separate file with just HDMI 1 recorded. So in our case here, this would be the clean input without the overlays that we might be sending to our program. This could be useful to go back and edit a highlight video from the raw video feed from the camera. There are also settings here for the frames per second and bitrate you want to record at. A nice feature of the Ultra is that the recording bitrate and the live streaming bitrate are separate, so we can turn up the bitrate here and get a higher quality recording to use later. This is auto camera switching. If you really don't have anyone to operate the Ultra, you can select which camera inputs to use. I'll choose the picture-in-picture inputs. Then you can choose how long you want each camera to be live. I'll make this really fast so you can see how it works. Now, if I turn this on, we'll see that the camera switches every 4 seconds on its own. And even if we go away from this page, let's say we go back to audio, and you can see over here on the left in our camera controls, it tells us we are in auto switching mode, and we could quickly disable that and take back over manual control of our cameras. We already saw the page to add another streaming destination. The settings gear, these are general settings for the Ultra. Video switching control. If you find that you're inadvertently switching cameras, you can set it to require a double tap. Video output settings. This refers to what's going to be sent out the HDMI output. The default is to mirror this whole control interface, but you can switch that here to output the program out, which is nice to see your finished video on a larger monitor. Transitions. The default is to cut between cameras, but you could change that to a fade or something else if you wanted. SD card management and portable storage management. These just let you delete files that you've recorded. And finally, the web control, that lets us use an app on our phone to control the YOLO box. This can be really helpful if you are short on volunteers and can't always be in the location where the YOLO box is located. You can still control it from wherever you are on your phone. So what are your thoughts on vertical video? Realizing that the world of social media is always going to be evolving and changing, do you think vertical video might be worth trying for your church? It's important to always be evaluating what you're doing and assessing if that's the best path to achieve what you want to accomplish with your live stream. I hope you found this video helpful. Let me know down in the comments what you think about going vertical. Until next time, bye.